Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem. Welcome back to today's Daf, Midos Lamed Zayin. So it's the last and final Daf of Maseches Midos, and by extension, the last Daf of Seder Kachim. It's a mazel. Okay, we're on top at Mishnah Gimel, describing the architectural layout, the configuration of the Heichal structure. Says the Mishnah, the Heichal itself was the large hall, the big room, which was divided into Heichal, which is Kodesh, and beyond that we have the Kodesh HaKadoshim. But around, right, surrounding the large hall, Ushloishim Ushmoina Ta'im. Ta is an empty room, a chamber. So there were 38 chambers in total. Now, we don't understand the deeper significance surrounding all these features, all these different elements of the Beis HaMikdash. We do know that the Beis HaMikdash was the Makom of Shechina on the highest level, and this firm speak about the fact that the Chaim speaks about it, the fact that the Beis HaMikdash was sort of a mini world. It was designed as a microcosm of this universe, in which we have the Shechina resting. So this was the sort of concentration of Shechina connecting to the world on its deepest level. Hence all these rooms and these configurations, which were dictated by Hashem directly to David HaMelech and carried out built by Shlomo HaMelech and then rebuilt during the second Beis HaMikdash. In any case, we have 38 chambers surrounding the Heichal. How's that? Because we have 5 on the first level. On top of that, we have another level of 5 and a third floor as well. So we have 5, 10, 15 on the right side of the Heichal, and the same on the left, that's 30. And on the back, it's 3 on top of 3, and then the top is only 2. So it's 8. 15 plus 8 is 38. Ushloishim ushmoina toim ha'yisham, they had 38 toim. Chamisha asa b'tzafan. So tzafan to the right, if you're going from east to west, so it's the right of the Heichal, you have 15. Divided into 3 levels. And the same on the left. Chamisha asa b'darim, ushmoina b'marav in the west. Shabbatzafen v'shabbadorim. The ones to the right and to the left. Chamisha al gaba chamisha, chamisha al gabeim. 5 on top of 5 on top of 5. V'shabbat marav. To the west, you have shleisha gaba shleisha. 3 on top of 3. Shleim al gabeim. The top floor comprised of just 2. Now each chamber had 3 doors, 3 entrances. V'shleisha psachim v'yuchechad v'echad. What for? Echad l'atav mihimin. Each chamber had a connector to the right, and one door connecting him to the chamber to its left, one to connect him to the one on top. But we have some sort of staircase or ladder. Now, as you face the Heichal, you're in Mizrach. So to the right is Mizrach Tzafin. The Ta at that corner, so it's the first one to the right, that had 5 doorways. Why? Echad, one to connect him to the right, ve'echad, and one to give him access to the left, to give him access to one over it, latosha al gaba, ve'echad the mesiba. One would open to the mesiba, which was a rampway, which surrounded the time. It was like a ramp which would take you up all the way to the second floor of the Heichal, would make its way up gradually around the time. By the time you got finished with the U, right, you would go up a bit, make a turn behind the west, come back to the Darim, and by the time you're done, the ramp has already taken you up to the second floor. That was the Mesiba. So this chamber had an access point to the Mesiba, ve'echad, another access point, the Pishpeish, which is that entrance to the right of the large entry into the Heichal. So the main door had 2 pishpishim, right? It had those 2 sort of mini doors, one to the right, one to the left. When you entered that pishpish to the right, you would enter a channel which can take you to the Ta, ve'echad laheichal. And another entranceway from the Ta to the actual Heichel. For a total of 5 Pesach. Says the next Mishnah. So, as we explained, there were 3 levels, 3 floors of time, but they were differently sized. Hatachtoina, the bottom floor, the bottom row of chambers, were merely 5 amma wide. V'roivet shisha, but their ceilings were 6 amma wide. V'mitzayis shisha, likewise the level above that, the line of chambers on the second floor were 6 amma wide. V'roivet sheva, but their ceilings were 7 wide. V'lion sheva, likewise the upper floor of chambers were 7 wide. So the wall of the Heichel would gradually thin out as you rise from the first floor, where the chamber was 5, up to the second floor, where the chamber was wider, so the wall would thin out, up until the third floor, where it got even thinner because the chamber was 7 wide. So it would sort of eat into the wall. Shenamar, as we find in the Pasuk, HaYetzia Tachtena Chamish, the bottom Yetzia, this bottom room, was 5 wide, Chamish Ba'amar Rochva, but the middle floor of these side rooms was 6 Ba'amar Rochva, 6 amma wide, Val Shlishis, and the upper floor, 7 Ba'amar Rochva. Says the next Mishnah, as we described before, there was this ramp, like a handicap ramp. It was like a sloping ramp, up. So the starting point was this corner here, Mikarim Mizrachas Tzvainis, and it would make its way up Lekeren to the opposite corner, Tzvainis Maravis, all the way to the west. And then you would make a turn, follow the western wall, and then it would again turn into the south wall, south side, and bring you all the way up to the second floor. That was used to access the rooftops of the chambers. So the Kayin, for instance, would start walking up the Mesiba from Mizrach, Upanam Lamara, facing Marab. So he would walk all the way to Marab, Halachal Eskolpnei Tzafin, and he would do the whole Tzafin side until he gets to the Marab, Achum Gila Marab. Then he turned the corner, Gila Marab. Once he gets to that Marab corner, Hafach Panu L'Darim. So he makes a left turn facing Darim, and he walks all the way to Darim. Halachal Marab. So he walks along the Marab side until he gets to the Darim, Achum Gila Darim. Then he makes a turn back towards Mizrach. All the while traveling up, right? Once he gets to the Darim side, by Yipanam Mizrach, now he's facing Mizrach, so he makes that left turn again by Yimal B'Darim. He walks along the Darim side, Achum Agila Pis Shalia, until he gets to the entry to the upper floor, Shepis Shalia, because the entry to the upper floor, B'Such Klapi Adarim, was open on that side. U'Pis Shalia, and at the entry to the second floor, he raised Klunsais. He would discover these 2 beams, Shalaris of cedar, which was some sort of access path up to the roof, some sort of ladder, some sort of. It was used to access the rooftop of the Heichel of the second floor. Over Roshon, what there's a gis of Rashi Pispisin Mabdilun Balia. Now, when you're inside the second floor, above the Heichel, there are markers coming out of the wall, these wooden markers or whatever. Mabdilun Balia. So in the second floor, you have these markers showing you. This side is Kodesh, that side is Kodesh Kadashim. Bein HaKodesh, Lebein Kodesh Kadashim. So the markers were directly above the dividing wall, which was below them in the Heichel itself, dividing the Kodesh and Kodesh Kadashim. So they had these markers showing you where the boundary is. Velulun hayipsuchim ba'aliyah. Interesting. They had these hatches, these like these open access points in the aliyah, in the upper floor, which would give them access to the Kodesh HaKadoshim below, to go down to maintain, to repair, to paint the base Kodesh HaKadoshim. They would use these openings to let down the workers inside boxes. They were enclosed in these cubicles. They shouldn't satiate their eyes. They shouldn't look around in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. They would go down for a purpose. They would locked in. They would, I guess, have holes to stick their hands out to do their repairs, and that was it. The Rambam actually says that ideally they would choose, Kaihanim who were fit for avodah, not Balei Mumin, to do the work, and if not, they go to a regular Kaihanim, etc., etc. But it was a pretty daring thing to go into Kodesh HaKadoshim, someplace where even the Kohen Gadol wouldn't walk in, except for once a year under very special circumstances. Now the actual Heichel itself was Meya al Meya al Rum Meya. It was 100 by 100, and it was 100 in height. Now, when we speak about the Heichel, it also includes the Ulam and the Kodesh HaKadoshim and the chambers, the time, the whole structure is what we're talking about. So 100 long, 100 wide, at its widest point, which is actually the Ulam, which extended past the actual Heichel, 15 am on either side, and the height all the way from the foundation to the top of the roof. So how do we get to 100? Ha'itim, starting from the bottom, the solid mass, the foundation, sheish amas, was 6 am. V'goiva, 40 am. The actual hall, the Heichel itself, was 40 am high. V'am chiyur. And then comes an amma of like plaster or some sort of ornamental designs. V'am sign based dilfa. Beyond that, we had 2 amma called based dilfa. Some say it was comprised of heavy beams for structural support. Some say it had some sort of a drainage system for condensation. Beyond that, we have the structure of the second floor of amma tikra, an amma of floorboards, beams, v'amma ma'aziva, on top of which we have the flooring, the cement, the tile, whatever. V'goiva shali mem amma, and the second floor is actually also 40 amma high. Then again, we have the amma kur, amma sign based dilfa, amma tikra, amma ziva. Now we're up on the roof. V'gimel amma smaka, the railing on the roof comprised 3 ammas. So we're at 99. V'amma kala'ir, on top of which we had these pokey metal bars, which were there to banish the irvim, the ravens, basically to keep the birds away from this holy place. So that's an amma high, and we get to 100. This kala'iriv, this irv banisher, was not part of the 100. Rather, the maka, the railing, was 4 amma high, for a total of 100. Okay, so we covered the height. Mishnah Zayin. Min mizrach l'marav. So as you enter from the east to the west, it's also going to be 100 amma. Me'ah amma. How? Kaisla ulam chamish. So you start with the ulam, which is the entry point to the heichel. The wall of the ulam, the outer wall, was 5. But ulam echad asr, the ulam itself was 11. Kaisla heichel sheish, the wall of the heichel is 6. Teich arbaim amma. The actual heichel was 40 amma long. And then you have amma traxin, the amma that was the border between heichel and Kodesh HaKadoshim. The esrim, so in the first place of Mikdash was a wall, and the second place of Mikdash was a double curtain. The esrim amma Kodesh HaKadoshim, 20 for the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Kodesh heichel sheish, followed by the wall which was 6 amma wide. Atah, and the chamber behind was also sheish, because Latah sheish, and the wall behind that was chamesh, was 5, for a total of 100. Min atzafon l'darim shivim amma. Now, if you look from tzafon to darim, it's only 70. How? Let's start with the wall. Kodesh l'masibo chamesh. The wall of that ramp walkway, which was the outermost feature around the heichel, that wall was 5, and the masiba itself, the actual masiba was shalosh. Koisel, then we have the koisel of the tav, the chamber was chamesh, 5. Atah itself is sheish, 6. Koisel eichel sheish, v'toichai, and going from tzaf and the darim, the narrow way through the heichel, it's only 20 amma, esrim amma. Then we have the wall, Kaisla Echel Sheish, 6, V'atah, and the chamber is another 6, Sheish, V'kaisla Atah Chamish, V'beis Harodas Hamayim Shalish Amas, they had this gap, this area called Beis Harodas Hamayim. Some say it had some sort of plumbing arrangement there, they would bring water through there to the Heichel. Some say it was meant for like a drainage system, so that was Shalish Amas. And followed by the wall, the outer wall, which was 5, V'kaisla Chamish Amas. So it's only 70, but if you go to the forward part, the eastern side of the Heichel structure, meaning you go back to the ulam was wider, right? So it extended 15 amma past the Heichel, to the right and to the left. So 15 plus 15 plus the 70 get you to 100. Hence, the description of 100 by 100. So ulam expanded past, on either side, 15 amma. And that area was called, the extension was called Beis HaChalifos. Where does that come from? Because the chalaf is the knife. It's based on a pasuk and Nach, which refers to the knife as a chalaf. And some say because it's machlif, it transforms the live animal into edible meat. Hence the name chalaf, and that's where they used to store their knives. Sham goinsim esasakin. That's where they stored their knives, their shchita knives. Or any knives that they needed for the processing of the karbanos. Now, if you step back and take a panoramic view at the Heichel, you'll find it looking more like a lion. Because like a lion which has a wide mane and sort of a narrow body, here as well, the front, the ulam area, was wider than the rest, which was more narrow. V'eichel tzar ma'achrav was narrow towards the back, but wider milafanav towards the front. And gives you the appearance of a lion, which is how the pasuk describes Beis Hamikdash. Shnei hoy Ariel, Kiras Chana David. So it's a reference to an Ariel lion in its shape. Ma'ari, just like a lion, tzar ma'achrav, racham milafanav, is more narrow in the back than in the front. Likewise, the heichel tzar ma'achrav, racham milafanav, hadon loch pis shalech. Okay, we turn the Amud, the last and final perek. Kol ha'azorah hoysa oirech. Let's move on to the azorah. How is it configured? Hoysa oirech meya v'shmoina b'sheva, al reicha meya v'shleishim v'chamish. It was 135 amma wide and 187 the total length from the beginning of the azorah all the way to the end behind the heichel and kodesh HaKadoshim. So the entire enclosure was 187 by 135, in which we had the mizbeach and other features, including the heichel and kodesh HaKadoshim. But it was all sort of enveloped in this grand enclosure, which we call the azorah, 187 long, 135 wide. And the Mishnah will delineate for us the entire layout. Let's start from the east. As you enter the azorah, kuf pei zayin. First you have the mokum drisas ragli Yisrael, where the Yisraelim would stand to be present, when they bring karbanos. That was the first 11 amma, Yud Aleph amma. Followed by the Kohanim zone. Mokum drisas ragli Kohanim was also achas esrei amma, 11 amma. Followed by the Mizbeach Sheshem Mishtayim. Then the gap between Bein Ha'ulam and Mizbeach is 22 Esrim Mishtayim amma. Ha'chel. Ha'hechel. The entire Heichel structure, as we said, was 20, was 100. Heichel Kuf Amma, leaving us just 11 Amma behind the Kodesh HaKadoshim and the far wall of the Azorah. Achas Esri Amma, that was behind Achoyer Beis HaKaperes, the Kodesh HaKadoshim. So we covered the whole length. Now, Mishnah Beis, Min HaTzafim L'Darim, Meir Shleishim HaChamish. Going from Tzafim to Darim, it's 135. So the Mishnah will first pick on more sort of absolute landmarks, tally them up, and then go back and distribute whatever's left to the remaining areas. So we're not necessarily going sort of strictly, tightly in order. We start from the kevesh and the mizbeach, which was not at the very end, not at the wall. There was some space between the wall and the kevesh. We'll get to that later. Minat kevesh. So between the kevesh and the mizbeach, you have a total of how much? 62. Shishim Mishtayim. How is that? Because the mizbeach was 32. We're talking down at the base on the floor. And really the kevesh was also 32, but there was some overlap. Because as the kevesh meets the mizbeach, it rides over 2 amma of the mizbeach. The yisoid, based on bottom, and the soiviv. So really those 2 ammas are sort of overlapping, hence we deduct So instead of a total of 64, it's really 62. Shishim Shtayim. Min ha-mizbech la-tabois, shmoina amis. So next landmark were the tabois, those in-ground rings. But there was some space between the mizbech and tabois, 8 amma. Okay, and how much space did the rings themselves take up? Malkam ha-tabois, that took up 24, esrim ba'arba. Next is the space between those rings and those tables, which are used to clean the karbonis. Min ha-tabois la-shulchanis, another 4 arba. Min ha-shulchanis vilin and between the tables and those posts with the hooks on them, was another 4 arba. Min ha-nanasin l'kos la-azara shmoin ames, between the posts and the far wall of the azara, you have 8 amma of space. And the remaining amount of the initial 135. So after you tally up these numbers, you still have 25 amma left. Now, interestingly, Rashi, Maseches Yoma, points out that the tables hadn't been accounted for. We hadn't given them any space. We have to deduct 4 amma for the table. I believe this was only 21 amma. And that's divided between the following 2 locations. So 10.5 amma went between the first wall and the ramp, which hadn't yet been accounted for, and the remaining amma were umakim and anasin, were the actual placement of the anasin themselves, 10.5 amma. Mishnikim sheish lishkos hazara. The azara had 6 chambers, shalish b'tzafin, 3 along the right inner wall, the shalish b'dar, and 3 along the left side. Shebasaf, and along the right, you have Lishkas HaMelach. So they store the salt, which they very much needed for the carbonates. Lishkas HaParva. Lishkas HaParva, that's the place where the Kohen Gadol, on the rooftop, they had a mikveh for the Kohen Gadol in Yom Kippur. The Gemara in Yoma explains why it was called Parva. Some say because there was a goy, a chashev, who actually built it. His name was Parva. Some say that he was discovered tunneling into the Beis HaMikdash. That he was curious to see how the Kohen Gadol conducts his avodah, and they killed him. And as a deterrent, they called it Beis HaParva. Some say that actually he was a machashiv that did teshuva, and that's how they called him. He was the one who he did teshuva, and that's what was called on his name. Some say actually he was involved in building, as we said before, but he was building it in such a way that it seemed like supernatural. You got the water sort of pumping and working in a very miraculous, it was a very unique and talented way. It almost looked like he was using sorcery for it. So they called it Parva, which is a reference to the idea of kishuv, of sorcery. Okay, in any case, they had this Beis HaParva, Lishkas HaParva, and we have Lishkas HaMadichen, the chamber of Madichen, where they used to rinse the stomach of the karbanos. So they had a cleaning system in that room. Oh, and the Mishnah explains, Lishkas HaMelach, that was to store the salt, Shamayu Noisen Melach, for the karba. Lishkas HaParva, that served another purpose. Shamayu Malchan Eretz Kachim, inside which they would salt the hides, the skins of the karbonates, which the Kohanim would get. Al Gaga, on its rooftop, that was the place for Tefillah, Beis HaTefillah, that had a mikveh for the Kohen Gadol, B'Yom Kippur. Lishkas HaMadichen, that was for rinsing the karbonates. Shamayu Madichen, Kirvei HaKachim, in which they would thoroughly rinse the insides of the stomachs of the karbonates, clean them of their waste. Umisham mesiba oil gag Beis HaParva, from which there was this access point, this some sort of staircase. Some say it was like a roundish, a spiral staircase to take you up to the Gag Beis HaParva. So basically, Kohen Gadol will have to go through the Medichen to make his way up to the Gag Beis HaParva. So it's Rashi and Yuma who says that was a circular staircase, hence it's called Mesiba, like Saive, right? Like a circle. Mishnah Dal, Shabbat Dorim. So now we're on the Dorim side of the Azara, to the left, right? Lishkas HaEitz, Lishkas HaGoylo, Lishkas HaGazes. What's the purpose of Lishkas HaEitz? Amar B'Latzav Ben Yaakov, I'll tell you the truth, I forgot. What they used it for? Shchachti ma'aseh mishameshes. Abba Shol Eimer, let me tell you what it served. It served the Kohen Gadol during his quarantine. His 7-day preparatory period before Yom Kippur, and it actually had a different name as well, Lishkas Parhedrin, as mentioned in Maseches Yoma. So Abba Shol says, Abba Shol Eimer Lishkas Kohen Gadol. And it was situated right behind the other two. So the other two were side by side, behind which we had Lishkas Kohen Gadol. And they had, one roof covering all. The Gag, Shlosh, and Shava, all three rooftops were, the same level. What was the function of Lishkas HaGoyla? Goyla is a lashon of Golos of the... when they came back from Golos, when they came back to the Beis HaMikdash, they established this in-ground water source to provide them with water in the Beis HaMikdash. Lishkas HaGoyla, Shama Yeber Kavua. They had this set in-ground, water source from which they would draw water for drinking, for Gal, Nasan Allah, which had this wheel, this sort of pulley on it, to draw water. Mishama speaking Mayim B'chol Azora, that would provide water for everybody, in the Azor. Lishkas HaGazas, famous Lishkas HaGazas, where the Sanhedrin, the Grand Sanhedrin was stationed. Shama Yisrael Sanhedrin G'doyla, Shal Yisrael Yeshevas, that was the Supreme Court for Klal Yisrael, V'donas HaKahuna, and they had an interesting role here in the Beis HaMikdash. They would determine the status. They would certify the Kohanim to ensure that, they have proper yichus, proper family, certified family background, and suitable for the avodah, unblemished, right? If it turned out that a kohen was unfit, it was a sad day for him. He would dress and wrap himself in black and leave the area. But if a kohen got okay, then was certified, Loivish Levanim was a day of celebration. He would dress in white. Loivish Levanim, Sativ Levanim, Nichas, and Misham Shem Ech V'Kehanim would join his brethren in their avodah in Beis HaMikdash. V'Yom Tov, Hayoisim, and those Kohanim who were found to be okay, celebrated, made a Yom Tov. Shloi Nimtza Psul, B'Zar Shel Aaron, that there was no blemish found in the descendants of Aaron. It was a day of celebration. B'Zar Shel Aaron HaKohen. V'Kach Hayoimim, they had a special celebratory tribute to Hashem. They used to say, Baruch HaMokim, Baruch Hu, Shaloi Nimtza B'Sul B'Zar Shel Aaron. And they concluded with a special thanksgiving to Hashem, Ubaruch Hu, Shebochar B'Aaron Avonov, blessed Hashem who chose Aaron and his descendants, Lamed L'Sharis, to stand and to serve L'fnei Hashem, Meveis, Kodshei Kodesh. Hadron Chol Azora, Uslikul Maseches Midos. So we discussed the layout of the Heichal and the surrounding Ta'im, discussed the upper floor, we discussed the actual layout of the size of the Heichal, 100 by 100, we discussed the size of the Azora, 187 by 135, and all the landmarks found within. We discussed the 6 chambers, 3 B'tzafon, 3 B'darim, we discussed the function of each chamber, and concluded with Lishkas HaGazas, which housed the great Sanhedrin. And we took a walk through the celebratory moment which took place in the Beis HaMikdash when the Kohanim were found to be okay and suitable. Baruch HaMokim Baruch Hu, chose them to be Ovid Hashem, Beis Kodesh HaKadoshim, Shivarim B'meher B'yameinu, Amen, V'amen, all the best to you, Mazel Tov, and Hatzlacha.